I can defend him. Objection.
Gems.
A child's voice, sharp as a blade, cuts through the ice-cold air of Courtroom 3B. Fluorescent lights hiss. The whole room freezes. At the defense table sits Ethan Brixley, 26, a tech millionaire who's just fallen from magazine covers to the defendant's chair, steel cuffs glinting at his wrists. On the bench, Judge Reiner raps his gavel for order. At counsel table, Attorney Monroe Green has just dropped a bombshell. I withdraw from this case, effective immediately. And among the old wooden pews, a little girl with beaded braids rises Amara Johnson, 8, hugging a spiral notebook like it's the last piece of evidence on earth. Outside, free Ethan clashes with Lock Him Up. Inside, one question remains, can a child turn a trial around? Because tonight truth won't live in the indictment, and those cuffs may change wrists. Underscore. Underscore, 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 underscore. Beneath the limestone steps of the St. Louis County Courthouse, Missouri satellite trucks are jammed bumper to bumper. Free Ethan banners collide with Lock Him Up car horns and shouting ricocheting through chipped Corinthian columns. Inside Courtroom 3B is freezer-cold fluorescent tubes hiss the reek of cold coffee, and fresh cleanser hangs in the air. And the Missouri State Seal stares down from above the judge's chair like a single unblinking eye. Old wooden benches creak as reporters inch closer. Tally lights burn. Microphones jut forward like spearheads. To the right, the prosecution table, red-tabbed files stacked high. To the left, the defense table, oddly solitary, its second chair yawning empty. The bailiff stands across the aisle, palm hovering near his holster habit, nothing more but enough to remind everyone this isn't a stage. It's a battlefield. Ethan Brixley is led in cuffs, flashing under the lights. The jail-issue shirt makes him look half the size of yesterday's headlines. Third row back, a small girl in a borrowed dress sits folded into herself, clutching a notebook like she's clutching a secret. No one notices. Not yet. The room sounds snap in two as Judge Reiner mounts the bench, setting the gavel on the wood like a warning. Cameras stop their click-click. The air shrinks tight as a violin string. This is where reputations die young, where truth, if it exists, must claw its way through cold procedure to survive. And then, in that charged stillness, the story begins. Mr. Green, your client needs a defense. Judge Reiner's voice is the gavel's twin, and 100 eyes lock on the defense chair. But Monroe Green only shakes his head, closes his leather briefcase, and says in a voice like steel, Your Honor, I withdraw. Effective immediately. The room detonates. 100 murmurings, phones lighting up like a field of stars. In the chaos, one small silhouette remains still, as if she's never existed at all. Amara Johnson, 8 years old, beaded braids, a borrowed dress 2 sizes too big. No one noticed when she walked in. No one thought to ask who she was. Not yet. The defendant, Ethan Brixley, sits stunned. The tech wunderkind the press once crowned the people's billionaire when his app connected thousands to jobs during the pandemic, now in cuffs, facing an indictment so merciless people want to watch him break. He knows he's innocent. Heaven knows it. But who will believe him? This is highly irregular, Mr. Green. Judge Reiner growls. I understand, Your Honor, but I can't stand beside a client who isn't honest with himself. Another punch to Ethan's ribs. Honest or not, no one cares. The room's verdict has already branded him a liar. And then a voice rises small but clear. I can defend him. The air freezes. Heads whip around. I'm sorry, what did you say? The judge arches a brow. I said I can defend him. Amara stands, hands trembling, but her gaze does not. Laughter pops from the back benches. Someone lifts a phone to record. The bailiff steps forward, ready to end the joke. What's your name? The judge asks. Amara Johnson. How old are you, Amara? 8. The room breaks into laughter, but the girl rushes on. I know I'm not a lawyer, but I've read about this case, and I know he didn't do it. I know. A beat of silence. No one expects the severe judge to indulge her. He doesn't wave her off. Instead, he leans forward, curiosity and something like pity in his eyes. And how do you know that Amara draws a breath? Because 2 years ago, he saved my brother's life. The room tilts. Ethan turns slowly, his gaze locking on the child. He remembers helping kids through a charity laptops grants, but saving a life. And here she stands, voice quavering but resolute, pulling every eye toward her. Reporters lower their phones. The laughter dies. Amara steps into the aisle like it's a path she's walked 1,000 times. Her voice cracks a little but never stops. He gave my brother a chance. We had nothing, not even the internet. But because of his program, every kid in our building got a tablet and a connection for school. My brother dreamed of college, but he's gone. The air grows heavy. Silence presses down. I want to stand up for him because no one else will. If the court won't let me speak, then the truth may never be heard. Judge Reiner leans back. Ethan is frozen, eyes wet. The bailiff shifts, unsure. Phones keep recording in the hush. In 3 short minutes, a foregone hearing flips on its head. A child, a handcuffed millionaire, and a truth no one saw coming. And strangest of all, the court doesn't throw her out. Judge Reiner allows Amara to sit in the front row while a clerk runs to find a guardian. Outside, the internet explodes. A child just stood up to defend a billionaire on live stream. Ethan sits motionless. He wants to thank her, but what could he say? Does she understand who he is? Court will recess for 20 minutes, the judge says, curiosity sharpening his tone. And someone please find a guardian for this child before I violate a dozen statutes. The gavel falls. The crowd erupts. Amara does not move. She has chosen to stand here, and no force will shake her easily. Amara's wide eyes stay fixed on Ethan as if she could read the corners of his soul. 2 hours earlier, her morning looked like any other. A 1-bedroom apartment still warm with last night's fried chicken. A staticky TV looping her Grandma Joyce's favorite game show. On the frayed armchair, Grandma sleeps oxygen tube at her nose. Her breath a lazy lullaby. Amara slips by a shadow. She should be in school in an hour. But not today. Today matters. She shrugs on a faded denim jacket, hoists a worn backpack, no notebooks inside. Just a spiral pad stuffed with articles about Ethan Brixley printed at the library. For weeks, Amara has devoured every line, not out of duty, but belief. The world sees Ethan as a rich man fallen from grace. She sees the man who changed her brother Malik's life, if only briefly. Malik, 17, joined a coding mentorship funded by Ethan. It handed him hope, a laptop, and a vision beyond their gray block in East St. Louis. But Malik is gone. A senseless gunshot outside a corner store cut him down before he could finish the program. Amara never blamed Ethan. To her, he was one of the few who cared about children no one remembers. And now, with the world eager to see him caged, Amara knows she must stand up. When people ask, "How are you sure he's innocent?" Amara doesn't answer. But inside, she believes absolutely, the way you believe in your own breath. In a single thing, she rarely had hope. So she skips school, walks to the courthouse, waits hours just to see him with her own eyes. And when the lawyer abandons Ethan, something breaks in her chest. If no one will protect him, she will. In the hallway, chaos blooms. Reporters snap, hunting anyone linked to the mystery child. Amara lowers her head as a clerk ushers her into a small waiting room. "Sweetheart, where are your parents?" a gentle voice asks. "My grandma's at home. Do you have her number?" Amara scribbles it down. But Grandma Joyce, deep asleep, doesn't answer. Amara swings her small legs until the door opens, and he appears. Ethan still cuffed between 2 officers, but his eyes go straight to the girl. "Is it you?" he asks, softly stunned. "Why did you do that?" "Because you didn't do it," Amara answers firm. Ethan blinks. "You don't know me." "I do." Amara lifts her chin. "You helped my brother." The officers exchange a look. Ethan's voice cracks. "I'm sorry. About your brother." Amara nods as if she had been waiting for those words. You gave him what no one else would. That mattered. They pull Ethan away. He wants to say more, but can't. Amara squeezes her notebook. Her heart hammers. If the judge allows it, she'll speak. She knows every detail, every timestamp. She'll make the world listen. She doesn't know her choice will drag her into a storm far bigger than she can imagine. Before the rap sheet, before the cuffs, Ethan Brixley had everything. Not born to silk. Bakersfield, California, a single mom working 2 jobs to keep the lights on. At 15, he found a broken laptop in the trash and coaxed it back to life. The world opened. At 19, he launched his first app from a Fresno dorm. At 24, a millionaire. At 26, the press called him billionaire. He didn't ask for it. They crowned him anyway. His company Linkbridge wasn't just an app. It was a lifeline connecting poor kids to scholarships, internships, mentors they'd never dreamed of. During the pandemic, when jobs vanished, Linkbridge kept classes lit and food on some tables. But halos are short-lived. 3 months ago, St. Louis burned an abandoned warehouse on fire. Inside, police found Victor Hale, a rival who'd clashed with Ethan over intellectual property, beaten nearly to death. That night, a witness swore they saw Ethan near the scene. Headlines erupted, young billionaire assaults rival in shady dispute. Ethan denied it, said he was never in St. Louis. But phone data pinged near the city. Traffic cameras caught a rental car in his name. Then the hammer blow, a search of his office turned up a safe with tens of thousands in cash odd for a digital prince. Sponsors fled. Investors cut ties. Handshakes turned into cold shoulders. Finally, the indictment fell: attempted murder conspiracy, aggravated assault. Ethan plummeted from the peak in a single summer. Now, in the room where the world lines up against him, only one 8-year-old dares to believe the truth. Ethan knows the truth. He never touched Victor Hale, never knew why Hale was in that warehouse. But the evidence gleams like neon, so bright that denials look like lies. The more he protests, the slicker he sounds. The only one beside him was Monroe Green until this morning. In a cold waiting room, Ethan stares at a white brick wall. He's not much for prayer, but today he whispers for anyone to believe him. The door clicks. A guard grunts, "You've got 5 minutes." And then he sees her. Amara's small frame eyes wide, notebook clutched like a shield. "How did you get in here?" Ethan blurts. "The judge allowed it." The guard shrugs. Ethan laughs bitter and soft. "This is insane." Amara steps closer. "Why did your lawyer leave you?" "Because I wouldn't lie," Ethan sighs. "He wanted me to admit I was at the warehouse, but didn't throw the punches. I told him the truth, I was never there." Really? Ethan's voice is ice, then softens. "I was never there." Amara studies him like grading a test. "Then why did your phone show up in St. Louis?" "I don't know. Maybe someone framed me. Who, if I knew, I wouldn't be sitting here." Ethan's cuffs bite his wrists. Amara opens her notebook pages dense with scrawls and clippings, blue and red notes crammed in the margins. "I read everything about you. You gave out laptops. You sent kids to camp. You funded scholarships. Someone like you doesn't beat a man half to death in a warehouse." Ethan chuckles hollow. "Try telling that to the world outside." "I will," Amara says steady. Ethan blinks. "You think they'll believe an 8-year-old? They have to, because I don't lie." In that moment, Ethan feels something he thought had died: hope. Ridiculous, a desperate billionaire finding faith in a beaten, stubborn child tougher than any lawyer. Before they drag him out, he asks Amara, "Why are you really doing this?" She looks him in the eye. "Because nobody believed my brother." Ethan goes still. "What do you mean? On the day Malik died, Amara swallows they called him a gang kid." He wasn't. He wanted to write apps. He wanted to work for you one day. No cop cared. No headline told it right. Nobody listened. So now, I'll tell your story. The clock ticks. "Time's up," the guard says. They lead Ethan away. His throat closes. He doesn't know if Amara can save him, but at least someone sees him as human, not a scandal. They don't yet know the warehouse truth is darker than nightmares. When Judge Reiner returns, the courtroom erupts. Streams still live, hashtags boiling hash, free Ethan hash, kid lawyer hash, who Amara. Thousands stare at their screens. Amara sits straight feet dangling above the floor, eyes steady. Miss Johnson, the judge's voice carries. The court appreciates your zeal, but you're not a licensed attorney. I know, sir, Amara answers quickly. I don't want to be the lawyer. I just ask the court to listen. 1 minute. A tremor runs through the room. After a breath, the judge nods. 1 minute. Make it count. Reporters lean in as if it's the Super Bowl. Amara grips her notebook, steps into the well. Her voice starts shaky, then finds its footing. People think he's guilty because of the video and the phone pings. But I read every article. It doesn't add up. They say he was in St. Louis on the night Victor Hale was hurt, but the flight records show at 7 p.m. he was still in Los Angeles. He landed in Missouri around midnight. The warehouse is across the city. He can't be in 2 places at once. A hum spreads through the benches. Even Ethan lifts his head. Grown-ups might not trust kids to understand, but math is math. Someone lied, and they're trying to make everyone turn on him. Objection! The prosecutor snaps to his feet. Sit down! The judge barks. You'll have your turn. Amara flips a page. And another thing, why would he do it? Beating Victor Hale gets him nothing but Hale. He had motive. His company just lost a huge contract to Linkbridge. If Mr. Brixley goes to jail, guess who gets the deal back? The room pops with whispers. Enough. The gavel slams. The judge nods. The child's time is up. Amara bites her lip and bows her head. Thank you for listening. She returns to her seat. The judge looks at Ethan. For the first time all day, his face softens. The hearing is continued to tomorrow. Reporters stampede the steps like racehorses starving for the next feed. Amara sits still, hands trembling, eyes alight. Ethan doesn't care about the flashes outside. The reporters, the yells, vultures, all of them. He cares only about the small girl clutching that notebook like it carries a universe. Outside, sunset spills orange along the courthouse steps packed with lenses and mics. In the chaos, Amara is swallowed by the crowd. She knows Grandma is probably frantic, but she has no phone. Amara, a raspy voice calls. She turns. A tall, lean woman runs toward her headscarf, tired eyes will of iron. Grandma Joyce. Knees aching, she still hustles. What on earth are you doing? Joyce seizes Amara's shoulders, scanning for scrapes and breath. I had to, Grandma. No one else will help him, Amara says softly but firm. Joyce sighs, rubbing her brow. Who do you think you are, Perry Mason, standing up in court? He's innocent. Amara cuts in, eyes blazing. Joyce wants to scold her, but that look stops her, the stubborn spark, exactly like Amara's mother once had. A reporter shoves in on mic at their faces. Amara, Miss Joyce, Channel 5 News, could we get a not today? Joyce snaps, steering her down the steps. They don't notice the black SUV across the street. Inside, a man hides beneath a baseball cap brim. His eyes track the pair. The phone vibrates. He answers, says one word. Problem. That night, the apartment feels even smaller. Amara perches on the bed's edge while Joyce paces sighing. The TV blares one channel after another, replaying the clip of Amara standing in court like a movie trailer. Finally, Joyce sinks down beside her. Honey, why is this so important? Truly, why Amara stares at a peeling patch of paint? Because he cared about us, about Malik. No one else did. Joyce shakes her head. Do you think helping that man will bring Malik back? No. Amara's voice wavers. But maybe. It proves Malik's life wasn't meaningless. Joyce pulls her close. For the first time all day, Amara lets the tears fall. Across the city, Ethan lies on a jail cot, eyes on the gray ceiling. Amara's words echo. Someone lied. He believes her. But who metal clanks? Visitor, a guard says. Ethan frowns. Who comes at this hour? He steps into the interview room and his blood turns to ice. The man waiting smiles with familiar menace. Trevor, Ethan whispers. Trevor, Maddox's college friend, Linkbridge co-founder, the man Ethan cut loose 2 years ago. Trevor sprawls a lazy grin. You look wrecked, E. Ethan sits, chains rattling. Why are you here, checking on an old friend? Trevor smirks, or what's left of him. You set me up, Ethan grinds out. Trevor chuckles. Don't be dramatic. I didn't touch Hale. I'm not stupid. But you want me to take the fall. Want still do. Trevor's voice turns steel. Ethan's heart pounds. Why I brought you into Linkbridge. When no one believed in you, I did. Right. You dragged me in, Trevor spits each word. Then threw me out. You thought you were better than me. Hale didn't think so. He knew my worth. We have an arrangement. Ethan goes cold. Victor Hale, bingo. Trevor smiles like a knife. He wants you gone. I want payback. We both win. Ethan chokes. You planted the evidence, used my phone sim cloning Child's Play, the rental car my gift. You should have seen your face when the cops rolled in. Priceless. You won't get away with this. Ethan snarls. Who'll believe you? The world loves watching a hero fall. By tomorrow, you're not a billionaire. You're a felon. Ethan trembles. Why tell me this simple? I want you to know it wasn't fate or luck. I pulled you down. Trevor buttons his jacket and stands. Enjoy your last night. He leaves Ethan cleaved in two by betrayal. Back at the small apartment, Amara can't sleep. The crawl on TV reads, 8-year-old defends billionaire. Instead of pride, she feels dread. She opens her notebook, scans every line. Flights, traffic cams, the warehouse. Then her eyes land on a name, Trevor Maddox. She remembers it from an old article about Linkbridge's early days. Trevor, the vanished co-founder, gone after a lawsuit, and then nothing. Amara circles the name again and again. Her spine chills. Grandma. She shakes Joyce awake. Tomorrow, we need to get to court early. Her eyes light up. The real storm is just starting. Joyce clutches her chest. Lord have mercy. Child, are you trying to give me a heart attack, Grandma? I think I know who framed him. Amara says certain. Joyce stares as if the child has lost her mind. I'm serious, Grandma. If I'm right, this isn't just about Ethan. It's about people who think they can do anything and no one will stop them. Next morning, the courthouse is a bazaar. The steps swarm with press. Banners war like rival choirs. Free Ethan now versus throw him in inside. Ethan shuffles and eyes bruised. Cameras and shouts barely register. One image cuts deep Trevor's smirk. Then he sees Amara front row giving a tiny nod that says, "Don't quit." Proceedings begin. The prosecutor all but licks his chops, ready to nail the coffin. Your Honor, the evidence is overwhelming. The phone places the defendant near the scene. The financial motive. Objection, heads whip around. Not a lawyer. Amara, Miss Johnson, Judge Reiner's gavel cracks like thunder. Please, just one thing. Amara raises her notebook. If I'm wrong, I'll be silent forever. The room hums like a hive. Cameras swing. The judge rubs his temples. 30 seconds. Amara sprints forward, flips to a page, and slaps it on the table. Here, a public Linkbridge email. The name, Trevor Maddox. He's the forgotten co-founder. Last week, he met with Victor Hale's attorney. The prosecutor sneers. That proves nothing. Then why Amara fires back, did Trevor buy a ticket to St. Louis the very day Victor Hale was attacked? Breath's hitch. Reporters dial like mad. Ethan sits stunned. Is that true, counselor? The judge bores into the prosecutor. I wasn't informed. Get informed, the judge snaps. 2-hour recess. I'll review this myself. The gavel falls. The gallery detonates. As Ethan is let out, he finds Amara's eyes. For the first time in days, his chest lightens. Hope. 2 hours later, the air is a pressure cooker. Feeds explode. Did a child crack the case? Who is Trevor Maddox? When the judge returns, every heart stops. After reviewing the materials, he says, voice heavy, the court doubts the integrity of the prosecution's file and the investigation itself. The prosecutor's face flushes crimson. Accordingly, I order the immediate release of the defendant Ethan Brixley on bond and the opening of a formal investigation into Trevor Maddox. The room goes supernova. Reporters stampede. Ethan sits, then exhales like breathing for the first time. The cuffs come off. His wrists are free. He turns. Amara stands on her seat, smiling like sunrise. Ethan walks to her knees to level eyes. Voice breaking, you saved me. Amara shakes her head. No, you saved Malik. I just finished the rest. Ethan smiles, eyes wet. Your brother would be proud. Her smile trembles. I hope so. Grandma Joyce arrives, head shaking, mouth smiling. Heaven's child. You know how to stir the whole world. Amara giggles. Must be genetic, Grandma. Outside, the media cyclone rages. Ethan slips an arm around Amara and guides her through the sea. Let me ask you something, he whispers. Yes, why didn't you quit when the whole world called me a liar? Amara lifts her chin. The answer will air on 1,000,000 evening shows, because when the world calls someone a liar, it always takes one person to remember the truth. And sometimes that person is a child. Ethan smiles. For the first time in ages, he feels human again. Not a headline, not a scandal, just a man granted a second chance. A week later, Trevor Maddox is in cuffs. Evidence ties him to Victor Hale, the warehouse, the whole scheme. Headlines flip from fallen billionaire to victim of a dirty plot. Linkbridge stock soars. Ethan barely notices. What matters most is a wobbly wooden table in East St. Louis, where he eats fried chicken with an 8-year-old and her grandma. You know, Ethan laughs around a drumstick. You're going to be one hell of a lawyer. Amara's eyes spark. Really, I'm sure of it. She grins, eyes bright. Then don't get into trouble again, because next time I'll charge. They burst into laughter. It sounds like a breath taken after almost drowning. In the end, this isn't a story about a flashy defense. It's about the power of one voice that chooses truth. While the arrogant spun fake evidence in the dark, a small child stitched the room's moral compass back together with a single line: I can defend him. Justice doesn't always belong to the loudest, it belongs to the steadfast. Reputations can collapse overnight, but human dignity, when someone believes in it, can pull a life back into the light. In Courtroom 3B, cuffs that seemed to seal a fate changed wrists. And we remembered amid the noise, courage and compassion are still the keys. So, if you take anything from this story, remember, never underestimate the force of a voice. However small, it can echo far enough to change a life. What do you think? Have you ever stood up for someone no one wanted to believe? If you'd been in that courtroom, would you have stayed silent or spoken up? Who is the Amara in your life? And when will you be an Amara for someone else? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this story moved, you don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can keep telling stories about justice, hubris, and human worth.